Have you ever had the pleasure of going to watch a movie that you had no idea what it was about? You didn't see the trailers for it, you didn't see a poster, and you just walked in. I would love to know what that movie is for you, because I think I've unlocked a core memory for myself, because yesterday I did just that, and I fell in love with Ne Zha 2. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and you need to go see it yourself because you will be flabbergasted at the quality. If you are someone who loves Avatar the Last Airbender or Legend of Korra, someone who likes anime, Pixar animation, Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and superhero movies, this is, I know, it sounds unbelievable to say that, but it did deliver on all those bases. From what I understood about it is that in the beginning, God created an orb, or a spirit pearl, and in the spirit pearl, God, or I guess itself, split into like an angelic form and a demon form. And it sounds like Ne Zha 1, I don't even know if there was a Ne Zha 1, but was these two characters fighting each other, but then maybe becoming friends. That's what I think happened. And so we start this movie off with them in their spirit forms, and they're trying to get their bodies back, but as they're trying to get their bodies back, the dragons attack, and I'm like, there are dragons? Oh yeah, also, if you love Game of Thrones and dragons and How to Train Your Dragon, I know, it's just unbelievable that this movie had all those things in it, but it absolutely did. I was watching with my buddy and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like I deserve to be watching this. With the price that I paid for this ticket and based on everything else that's been coming out of Hollywood recently, even though it was Ne Zha 2 and you might be like, oh, I don't want to watch it because it's the sequel, what made it so accessible for me was every time a new character showed up on screen, they would have the text in Mandarin and also in English, so you know who that was, what location we're at, and it was just so easy to follow. I watched it in Mandarin and it was actually really cool. When I walked in, the whole room was full of Asians and I was like, oh yay, we're having a party today, and a lot of kids, and I was like, oh, I guess we're all gonna like practice our Mandarin. The Mandarin voice actors were so good and they spoke so fast that I missed so much in the English. I was like, wait, I can't keep up that fast. And as the dragons are attacking, then they find out that, oh, maybe there's a way for us to work together and get this pearl dew essence thing that you have to pass these 3 trials from this supreme overlord, and he'll grant you the special dew that will create the lotus flower to come back. But until they could do that, the angel guy lived in the body with the demon guy, and it just created for such hilarious moments. They really capitalized on that in the first trial, where it was initially bizarre, because in order to complete the trial, it seemed like they were attacking civilians, and so I was like, I'm just really not familiar with this whole world, so I'm not really sure why these are the bad guys, but okay. But then we enter the second trial, y'all, and this is where the movie had some of the most iconic moments for me. Like, I think the movie has something for every person, but this is, I love the second fight scene where there was lightning, water, bending. Oh, there were so many plot twists in this movie that you start to see the plot that you came in thinking was the main was not the main plot, and so you start to get inklings of there's something bigger happening. So well done and so well orchestrated. Some guy pulls out a bow and arrow, and not only does he go to launch it, but as he draws his arrow and his bow, it multiplies into like 50 arms and the bow grows with him, and I was like, this is like Fire Emblem and every anime show, Legend of Zelda. It's video games, dragons, Pixar, superheroes all in one, and Lord, it was just so beautiful. And then something so heartbreaking and moving happens. That is such a great message for kids. And I could hear the kids sniffling behind us, and I was sniffling too, because you feel the pain of this child character without having to live it yourself, and I think that's where you feel the message, like, I don't want this to ever happen to me, so I've learned the lesson by watching. And that's where I think entertainment can really be useful as a tool to educate. But then this character goes Super Saiyan, y'all. It's like Dragon Ball Z also. There was a curse, a spell that cast spikes throughout his arteries, his veins, and his heart. So it was almost like atherosclerosis, but he had needles that were blocking the flow of blood but also tearing him, and he couldn't hug his mom, and he was just frozen. And then he becomes a Super Saiyan with flowing L'Oreal hair. And this is where the final thing about the movie that really just stole my heart is this movie had so much charm, because at the end of the movie they also said, do we have an end credit scene? Stick around and find out. And it was like this cute little, they animated and drew a picture saying, do you think we have an end credit scene? Ooh, charm, which I feel we've lost. Like, the characters wanted to be on screen and the voice actors wanted to act. I feel we've had voice acting where characters sound like they're in different rooms, and so someone will say, how are you? How are you? That doesn't sound normal. It's like, how are you? Oh yeah, how are you? How are you? You hear the inflection because they're in the same room. Sinister voice actors, they were all so talented. Like, Holmes, if you give us a way out, we'll be sure. You're like, what? you're so good. And the sensei with, of course, his tail whip. Oh, I'm gonna eat a lot today. Oh, I love eating. Eating's so fun. I loved the whole movie, and I cannot believe that this was a movie I just hadn't heard about, and I got to experience it with no idea about what it was gonna be about. And it was beautiful. I have to tell you about it so you can go watch it, because I didn't hear about it and I definitely didn't know that this existed. So please go watch it yourself so we can keep talking about it. And if there are other movies that are like this, please tell me. Also, if you like this video, please like it, send it to a friend, subscribe for more videos, and let me know what other movies I should watch. I love fantasy movies and I didn't know that this kind of stuff existed. What an incredible feat, and maybe the best movie I've ever watched in my entire life. And I guess I have to check up. Let's check it up right together. Let's check. Is there a Ne Zha 1? Yeah, 2019. Should we watch it together? $1.7 billion. Wow, that's amazing. Well, absolutely deserved.